Insta family, I am live here from Shanti Centre in extreme heat. And yeah, today I'm going to talk to Jyoti Jo Manuel, who runs Special Yoga Global. And she is very wonderfully running a weekend 4-hour, 300-hour ATTC. So I'm just going to try and get her in, Jyoti Jo Manuel, the founder of Special Yoga Global. So let me just invite her and see if I can do this. Never gets easy. Jyoti Jo Manuel. Let's invite her weekend, which she's running, which is kind of special yoga for children. And that's going to be in December, the 5th and 6th, I think, or the 4th and 5th December, the weekend around those dates. And yeah, we'll talk about her work with profound special needs and the use of yoga in those areas. So I'm just going to have another little go at contacting her. One moment, please. It's like you always talk as if there's like a million people watching, and there's usually like one or two. But who knows what you might be watching on the replay later. So I've invited her. Hello. Hello, I'm still there. I thought I'd actually got rid of it. So I'm just going to see if I can get her to come and join. Yeah, I keep closing the app by accident. So we're going to get Jyoti Jo Manuel on here in just a minute. You might be able to see how hot and sticky I am. I'm in Italy at Shanti Centre. You can see I've got my amazing Lakshmi, which was it was commissioned for me for my 40th birthday many years ago now, by my lovely Rupert, hand painted by Andrea, who works here at Shanti Centre and is an amazing artist. So I'm here and it's like really muggy because it's about to break, so I'm breaking a sweat. And I'm inviting Jyoti Jo Manuel. Here she comes. So hopefully she can come and join. So if you invite yourself, Jyoti, because I've invited you, if you ask to go live with me, I will. Yay, you're here. So I just have to try and get you on the actual screen. So you can ask me to go live with you. And I think I've already invited you to go live, so you need to accept my invitation. Although maybe I'm going to try again. So I've asked you to go live. Maybe you'll get that notification and you can accept, or you can ask to join me. And hopefully then somehow we get you and me both on a screen together. And hello to everyone who's joining. We will be there. We're coming. We're just working.
There we go.
So yay! Go live. Maybe you'll get a notification and you can.
There you go.
I'm here. Okay, so we're here and I've got you. How are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for joining us.
That's okay. I'm good, thank you.
Good. It's always like I've done this so many times, and it's always so difficult to get that whole kind of get everyone to join. It never gets easier. So are you okay? You've been swimming this morning?
I have, as usual. Yeah. In the freezing cold because it's not very sunny here these days.
That sounds nice. You sleep with a duvet at night. Anyway, thank you so much, Jyoti Jo Manuel, founder of Special Yoga Global. So I've invited you here because you've generously offered to run a weekend for my 300-hour accessible yoga and spiritual development advanced teacher training. So I thought we'd get you on and ask you a few questions about what you do. So do you want to start by introducing yourself and just saying, the whole global foundation that you've created? Okay. You can give us a lovely introduction. Thank you.
So my name's Jyoti, and I founded Special Yoga many years ago. We had a centre in London, a yoga centre in London, and I had always felt that yoga needed to be both accessible to everybody because it was so much of a kind of practice that was only really accessible to those that had the financial means to participate, and also to provide a nurturing home, and more than anything, to provide a nurturing home for families of children with special needs where they could feel welcomed, because I think in a lot of cases they don't. They don't feel safe. They don't feel comfortable to be tube feeding their child, or an autistic child bouncing off the walls or having a meltdown or whatever. So we created a very safe, nurturing space for families to be able to feel okay to be there and to practice with us. So that was really how we started. And then we from very early days, I was working at that time with Sonia Sumar of Yoga for the Special Child. So we were running her trainings alongside some trainings that I had developed as well. And then as life segued on, we parted ways with Sonia, and we just kind of continued on our own individual journey. And 4 years on from having a yoga center, we've become a training school, really, and a support for our practitioners, to be able to deliver wherever you are, however you are, a yoga as a therapeutic intervention. So from my perspective, yoga is less about what we do on the mat than how we live, how we be, how we exist, how we function. I mean, I love my asana practice, but actually it's not a practical, a useful tool for people in the moment who need to self-regulate, to self-calm. It's about what we take off the mat and how we can use it to incorporate pieces of it throughout our day. So I'm very keen on that part of it, rather than, let's see if we can, extend ourselves into all these gorgeous looking asanas. I don't think that that's at this moment in time, particularly with the levels of anxiety that are generally in the world, I don't think that's going to be the most helpful. I also think that we eliminate a whole load of people who find yoga scary for whatever reason, either because their perspective is it's religious, or their perspective is that it's about, contorting yourself into a pretzel. And we still have a culture where yoga isn't obviously accessible. And because we often work with children who are, have very severe physical limitations, yoga is available to everybody. It doesn't matter. If you can breathe, you can do yoga. So, and we're all breathing, we wouldn't be here. So I'm very much on that train of thought. And the other thing that, the other piece that makes special yoga relatively unique, I think, is that huge amounts of our work are based on your state. Our state matters. Our state as the adults, because what we've learned over the years is that if you change the resonance of your existence, in other words, you go into a high vibration, and in a high vibration, there is no judgment, there is no expectations, there is just pure connection and love, I suppose, if you want to call it that, compassion, self-care, kindness, whatever language you want to use around it, then actually the energetic field that you create around you supports and holds people into a place of yoga without doing yoga, if you want to call it that. So I'm very keen on that piece as well. So that forms a very big part of how we work and who we are as an organization, and the kind of ethos behind the training. And what happened over the years was, because we were running trainings out of our lovely centre in London, which, as I said, we don't have anymore, loads of people would come from overseas and then, oh, please come and bring it to my country, blah, 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 blah. So I found myself travelling very extensively over the years. And, we've got programs running in kind of Mexico, Canada, Peru, Australia, parts of Europe, Russia, Thailand, Sri Lanka. I did a lot of work in Sri Lanka, some in India. So, it's kind of widespread, and people have always looked at us going, this isn't, sometimes what we do doesn't look like yoga, whatever yoga is supposed to look like. So, it's getting people over those barriers and over those boundaries, if you like, of your own judgments of what things should be or should look like or are, to help get us into a place where we live in the state of yoga as opposed to do yoga. It's like all those lovely people say, I do yoga. And I'm like, oh, lovely. I love that. I go to a yoga class once a week. Lovely. So how does that impact your life? Do you know what I mean? How does that change your heart? Because at the end of the day, contorting yourself into a pretzel and getting your leg behind your head might feel fantastic, but it's not going to change your life. What's going to change your life is learning to live in your heart, learning how to live in a higher vibration, learning how to really be able to sit comfortably with your humanity. So it's not all love, light, and nonsense. It's actually, let's get real, let's get human, let's explore the human state that we all have. Let's be honest and open and authentic about our existence, and learn how to live with that. in a more comfortable, kind way, and with everybody else around that too. So,
And that's really advanced practice, isn't it? And that's what I want for all the yoga teachers. Like if you're an advanced yoga teacher, that's like the kind of space I want you to be able to hold for anyone, like around you, kind of infusing into your life. I see that you did that workshop at the World Yoga Festival on that, just kind of holding space. And I've heard my friend Jack, he runs Autism Optimism International, and he works very much with the parents in that way, so that rather than you go in and you try and change people or change this child to fit in, you actually change yourself so that you've got more openness, you have more space, and by doing that, then you can hold, and it's not like then you're not doing yoga, you're literally living it. Like you said, I love all that. Thank you. I'm so excited about this, really.
Yeah, so, I also think from, continuing on from what you've just said, is that if we could see, we call these children disabled because we have a perception of the world that they should fit into. And actually, I really believe that if we had the capacity to see the world through their eyes, we would be open to a whole new world of amazingness that we disregard because they don't fit into our expected social norms, or not mine, but the kind of more kind of global expectations, if you want, of how people need to be, how what society should look like, what we should look like, all that nonsense. And I just think that oh my God, I so love to be able to see the world through their eyes, and just be able to just see that magic, because they are magic.
Yeah. What brought you into that world? Was it just that you started teaching and those kind of people came to your classes, they came to you, or did you have something that, inside of you?
I had no plan. I've never had a plan. I don't like plans. I'm not very good with plans, and plans change all the time anyway. So no, it kind of happened to me. And when it happened, it was one of those things where I thought, I was kind of almost able to observe it happening, and I was thinking to myself, wow, this isn't what I thought would happen in my life, but it did. And then I kind of asked for guidance as to what it is that drew me. And I whether we believe these things or whether we don't believe these things, I remember very clearly sitting with a child with a very limited physical situation in Sri Lanka, a very poor kid of a fisherman, Tamil. I had no language, with no spoken language with the parents. But I held this child's head in my hands, and I looked up at him, and the tears are streaming down my face, because it's like I got the message that was your body, in another lifetime, and that's why you're here, because you have to help me.
Wow, so, that's amazing.
And I didn't know that, but I feel very called to that. And then I also witness, on a whole nother side of what we do, is that actually we're going into an anxiety epidemic right now that doesn't have a label of special needs, but we're heading into that for everybody right now. And I think that there's a need across the board for children, who are really suffering, and also for parents to really look at what really matters, and what expectations and what drama are we putting onto our kids that stops them from being thriving and being the potential that they have to be who they are, without your expectations as a parent, or your desires as a parent, or all the story that we put on our kids. And to some degree we all do it, but it's,
I really feel that anxiety now. I mean, I've been having waves of anxiety, and it's like, it just, and that's going to be, I know if I'm feeling it, then many people are feeling it, because it's, it's this global thing. My children have been through it, this kind of unknown, and it's not really quantifiable just yet. We don't know yet the extent, because we're still kind of in, and we're starting to go out, and even that's anxiety provoking. But just, I was kind of considering my special need that, for all my life, I've coped with trauma by organizing and by having a plan, and when the carpet is swept from under your feet and no plans work, like you say, plans change all the time. And when you've had this kind of plan, all the things, the crutches that people have had, both children and adults, have gone. And, they're not going to come back in a hurry. So I do feel this global thing, and we can take the lessons that you're teaching to everybody,
I think it's really important. It feels really important, and I think kind of learning how to self-regulate in the moment, learning the practices that, are going to help you to really balance your nervous system quickly, not because you have 2 hours to get on a yoga mat. It's not realistic. It's not practical anymore, you know. And it's not that I don't love yoga, and it's not that I don't buy into yoga at all, because I do, and I love my own practice, and I love sharing practice too. But we've also got to find ways that we can just be able to shift ourselves whenever we need it. You know,
and like you say, it doesn't always look like yoga, does it? Those little techniques, but they are profound, and they are from the tools of yoga. You can find them in the tools of yoga, but it makes it much more useful, much more practicable. Like yoga has to change, doesn't it? Just like, life.
People will find their own way through their own practice as to what works or what doesn't. I certainly have no judgment as to how people choose to do that stuff. But for us, in the way in which we work, and the way that I can share, because I can only share from an authentic place within myself. Otherwise, I can't do it. I just kind of watching what's going on, thinking things have to, I have to shift things in order to be of service, and be present to what's actually going on right now, and not to what I think things should be or shouldn't be.
So then
I don't know anything,
Yeah, sorry, I missed the last bit.
And because it's not really about my judgment of where I think things should or shouldn't be. It's more about how, what's needed out there. How can I learn to listen more? How can I be more present? Because at the end of the day, the biggest gift we can offer anybody is our undivided presence, without judgment, without expectation. And we've stopped being able to do that because we're all so busy doing this, doing that, doing the other, and we've got to learn to be quieter and to be. And I think I really feel that this time has offered, a number of, not for everybody, but I think for a lot of people, who've got the privilege of not having to take care of a child 24/7 because you've got no care. So, that's a whole nother ball game. But, for those of us that have the privilege of not having to take care of somebody 24/7, other than ourselves, or our children or whatever, but, at that very deep need place, to really learn to be still, and learn to just do some more self-inquiry, just learn to just sit with the discomfort of what is actually.
And if we can learn to not get distracted by all the fighting and, the moaning and the resistance, if we can sit there, then, then it can be a very valuable space. I totally agree. And obviously, online now is making it more accessible even more. So, if you can't travel to run your courses all around the world, we've also learned that you can find connection. I mean, it's not what everyone prefers. People love to be in person, but we can create connection online, and we can, you can now offer your trainings around the world, in a way that, it wasn't, it was possible before, but a lot of us, were resisting that. And we realized, especially in the accessible yoga community, how accessible it is to work online. When you get it right, like when you don't do the whole Zoom burnout and, try and just fit an in-person course into a Zoom, format, it is making it more accessible. I know lots of people, I know one of my friends who has paraplegia, he is able to do so much yoga now because of the pandemic, because before there were like one class and it was running, in another country that he'd be able to, now he can go to classes all the time. So I think, this kind of, you're being able to take your work further and further. So I must let you go, but what can we expect from our weekend with you in December, which we're very excited about? Well, I am.
Probably more of what I just said.
So we're gonna learn. We did sort of say it's going to be specifically for children, but also those techniques, obviously, for life. Do you have any spoilers?
I don't know. I haven't planned it yet, but I don't plan much anyway. So, I think let's see where life is and what's needed in December, and we'll respond accordingly. And, certainly we'll be looking at techniques to relieve anxiety, things that I found for me anyway, as somebody who's come from A lot of trauma, and B, had anxiety on and off through my life as well, is techniques that have worked for me that I've then gone on and shared with kids and adapted and made work. So I thought we'd look at some of those things.
Nice. And I love that. It just responds and will, go where needed. I think this is this is where, you know, I want advanced yoga teachers to go. I want them to be able to hold a greater space, welcome more people, and just kind of be what's needed at the moment. And like you were saying before, you know, you have your personal practice, whether that's like strong asana or whatever, but that is so that you can be more present to listen, so that you can open into compassion, so that then you can hold space, so that then all around you, you're able to be that present. Well, you're an absolute inspiration. Thank you so much, Jyoti. And I'm really looking forward to December. And yeah, do you want to say anything? Have you got any other courses coming up you want to plug, or do you want
to? Well, we have a number of courses starting in September. So we'd love you, you know, if you're interested in working with kids with special needs, we'd love you to join us. We've got our Special Yoga Foundation course starting at the end of September. We've got a course for children and young people and people with cerebral palsy, specific, starting beginning of September. And I think we have a special yoga for autism course, which the next one of that will start. I think it's November, October, November, something like that. So, yeah, and if you've already studied with us and you've forgotten about us and you want to come and do level 2, you have to have taken the level 1 program, which was the equivalent of the 7 days in-person training that I used to deliver. That's starting on the 4th of September. So.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much, and have a lovely day, and I'll see you in December. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.